Today's guest on Only Human is Kartik Raghuram. Kartik and I had an entrepreneurship class in high school together, and now he's got his own tech startup called Avocado. Kartik and I talk about entrepreneurship stories, changing intentionally after high school, a little about a startup, and dating. Kartik has his own podcast called the Business Essential Podcast, which I've linked below in the description. Enjoy the podcast. All right, so off the bat, question I asked you through text is the question that I've been asking for a while. It's what event caused your biggest personal revelation? So what thing happened that caused your biggest change in worldview, biggest change in personality, any of that?
Yeah, man. So I think really once I graduated high school, I was a totally different person than I am now. I would say that I disassociated myself with a lot of people from high school because I wanted to figure out who I was as an individual, right? And it's a different feeling when you leave high school, especially in a place where you know everyone or you feel like you know everyone. And going to college, you don't really know a lot of people. And then extrapolating from that, going even further, you're not going to know those same people. So I had to build up those people skills that I didn't have.
Okay.
And so I just disassociated myself, meaning like not in like in a negative way, but in a way where if I hung around the same individuals every single day, and if those were the only people I talked to, like, life would kind of suck after a while. Like it would get kind of boring and stale. So I would say, yeah. And then coming out to LA the first time, back senior year of high school, that kind of opened my eyes into, what the world was like outside of Hudson. And, I loved it. I loved everything about, just like the eclecticness. And that I would say was one of like those defining types of moments for me.
So there's a lot of stuff that I want to ask. And one of those things, since this is the most recent one, is that do you think a place like Hudson is not a good place for someone to show their own personality, like their authenticity, compared
It's
to a place
harder,
like, okay, yeah. So it's harder.
It's harder, but also like you have to think about it at the point of life you're at. So I wouldn't personally take anything back, take like that experience back from, going from third grade all the way through high school. Like you can't think of a better, place for a kid to grow up and be surrounded by, close community, right? And so at this point in my life, like if I had never left Hudson, I'd be a totally different guy than I am now. Totally different. And so I think, it's important for everyone to out and experience the world. It's, I remember, what was his name? Mr. Tawny from high school. He used to call like Miami of Ohio and OU Hudson's like what 13th and 14th grader or something like that. Yeah. And so, even, you still meet new people, but you're still, associated in the same bubbles. And so, so I feel like Hudson's a great place. Just if I stayed there my full life, then I'd definitely be a different cat than I am now.
Yeah. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Akron. So it's not like it's actually geographically closer than Miami or OU, but yeah, I got a chance to play basketball there freshman year for a while under Keith Dambrot. Had double ankle surgery. Never really the same after that. And then I just started getting more into like Betty Banksburg stuff with academics and, learning, really going down that entrepreneurship path. So, yeah.
Okay. So you said that you started to disassociate yourself and you were changing after you came to LA basically, or after you graduated Hudson, but what sort of parts of your personality did you feel were insufficient or that you needed to improve upon?
You're really going deep on me here, aren't you? It was, man, I don't know if you remember me in high school too much, but I was kind of like a weird kid a little bit.
Wait, before you say anything else, it's funny because the only thing that I remember from entrepreneurship class is your presentations on your project, and honestly, there was I had a blast, and Connor Manuel and I talked about this before. It was hilarious, and we knew nothing about you, but the only thing I remember is how much I laughed my ass off when you did your presentation. So I don't know anything about you besides how I felt when you were doing those.
Was it those biscotti bars that I
Yes,
made
dude.
or that I
That's the
claimed?
only thing I remember
Okay,
from
so
that
you want
class,
to
I
know?
swear to God.
y-
What?
So since we're 7 years removed from that, I might as well give you the full backstory on it.
Yeah.
Um, I did not make that biscotti. My mom did not make that biscotti. I just said my mom made that biscotti because she was on a business trip out in Washington D.C., so no one could fact check me on,
Right.
on who actually made the biscotti. So literally that same day, I went to Acme in the morning. I can't remember what brand of biscotti it was. It was in like a really nice box. And so I went and bought the box. And then I just took everything out and put it in a Ziploc bag to make it seem like I made it. It was even more ridiculous that those judges actually bought it because I
Yo.
told them that that I injected the biscotti with protein with like a syringe. I'm like, I don't think you
Yo.
could do that. I don't think you could do that, scientifically.
That's
So
hilarious. Holy shit. So yeah, you were one of those finalists, right? You like went up to that panel?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was one of the finalists.
That is classic. Holy
I know, I know, and it's honestly one of my great achievements in life because to go through that kind of experience, doing absolutely nothing, and
yeah.
being able to sell it that you've actually taken it somewhere, man.
Yeah, man.
That
That's something.
that dude, like no dip, the biscotti tasted great. I bought it at a grocery store.
Right.
Like, yeah,
That's awesome. Okay. So sorry for interrupting you, by the way. I just had to say that. So do you remember what I asked? Or do I need to repeat it? Because it got sidetracked.
yeah, yeah. Repeat it for me, please.
Okay. So like what part you talked about dissociating from your old self, what parts of your old self from Hudson did you think like needed to be changed or needed to be like improved upon or like anything like that?
Social skills, social
Social skill.
skills for sure. And not in social skill that understand in terms of like being able to just talk to people. It was more like targeted social skills. So really, I had to build up an inner confidence in myself more so than anything in order to you know be able to like push limits and push boundaries. And so me and you talking is one thing. Like
Mhm.
I can do that in my sleep. But in high school, believe it or not, like I wasn't allowed to date
Okay.
girls. So I remember I'm not gonna name this girl's name, or I could name her name because she probably doesn't listen to this podcast. I don't know if she does.
Hey man, roll the
But
dice. Let's do it.
all right. So I already it's a class. It was called Integrated Apps. It was
Oh,
sophomore year of
classic.
high school.
Okay.
Jan Neff was the professor, and the only reason that I remember her name is because this event happened. And so it was the Sadie's Hawkins dance, and Katie Kostler came up to me, and it's one of the things that I truly like regret in terms of I feel like I'm a jerk for what what I did, but it was true. Like she came up to me and she asked me out to that dance, and I told her that I couldn't because my dad wouldn't let me.
Damn.
And in the moment, I was like shaking, but I was also like, no, I don't really know about this. But you look back on it, man, and I was just that was a skill that I had to develop. Like now, if someone asked me, I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it. Or I'd go ask them.
Right.
So it's totally different. That's like one social skill. Like I was I was too sheltered in terms of that sort of stuff, so you know, I couldn't really develop
Right.
those types of skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Okay, so how did you was it just like a trial by fire sort of thing? Like as soon as you realized what you needed to work on, did you just like start like putting yourself in those situations that were like hard?
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Eh, No, man, it took me a while. It took me probably till I was 22, I would say,
Okay.
to really get comfortable. I went through college because I still commuted in college, so I was still living at my parents' house. Got
Mhm.
to save up, a good amount of money from rent, but yeah, I was still there. And then it wasn't my priority. So like my priority then became basketball for a while, and then I wanted it to be school because my grades at the time when I was playing basketball weren't too great, and so I didn't really focus on that. If I did focus on that, I don't know, but I
Right.
didn't, and you know I think the things come in waves, and we're getting this later on in life. It's
Right.
I feel like right now, honestly, right now, I feel like I'm in my college years right now, and I'm
Hmm.
25. Yeah, for
Is that
sure.
like for
Like
like
I'm
in the socially aspect? Is like that's what's really bringing you to feel that? Okay.
oh 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 for sure, man, for sure. Like it, I'm doing things now that kids do when they're 19, 20 years old.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm experiencing some stuff for the first time, and it's a freaking blast. I'll say
Yeah.
that. I'm at that point in life where it's like, I don't really care, what people think. Um, why not? What do you have to lose, right?
Yeah. So the part about that, like, I thought about this a while because I know that a lot of people who went to college who like commuted and stuff, I felt like they didn't get a piece of like the college. But now that I'm out of college and I'm looking back on the things that like I miss, a lot of them they're not really exclusive to college. I feel like we're talking about the same thing when you say like now that I'm like at this point, and it's more about like a carefreeness and like putting yourself in like, you know what I mean? Like maybe I can't articulate in like the
Mhm.
right way, but like I feel like I totally understand what you're saying when you say that like you're like being able to live that part out.
It's it's not, man. It's not the college experience when you're commuting, because you're still keeping that part of what's normal and what's
Yeah.
regular to
Yeah.
you, and you're still not really getting out of your comfort zone. It's still literally going to high school, only the classes are in different buildings and you have to walk across a campus that's like 20 degrees in the wintertime.
Right.
That's literally the only difference. And so um, yeah, I think, and you can spew your opinion on it, but I just think that college is meant to really have you not experiment, but it's meant for you to really find out who you are. And because I commuted, I didn't find out who I was until I'm 23, 24. Like Michael Rossi, I'm sure you know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
He saw me at Kepner's before I came back out here to LA, and he was like, "Man, who is this guy?" Because he hadn't seen me in a long time. I was doing stuff that he'd never seen. Like I never used to drink, never used to really party, never did a lot of that stuff. And I think people go in waves, and I'm getting that commuter out of me at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I hear that. It's funny
I'm
that you
just name dropping people right now, so I really hope they listen to this because they'll hear their name. They can potentially get some publicity. It does,
hey.
it's
Yeah, dude, like I feel the thing that you said about like college is the time to like discover who you are, but the thing is that it's also a time to like intentionally discover who you are because you can very well go through college even if you live at college and like not do that at all. And the reason why I say that is because my freshman year I didn't like I lived at on campus. I went to John Carroll and I basically lived like my high school like life but in a college dorm room. And like I barely went out. I didn't really capitalize on like the college experience. And
Mhm.
um there's something like really specific I was gonna say. I can't forget or I can't remember now, but basically, like it's something that you have to do like so intentionally. Like I feel like that should be like just as like that's where the emphasis should be. I feel like there's too much of a blanket. Like once you go to college, your life's gonna change. You're gonna find out who you're gonna be, but it's like it's up to you to like make a whole new personality for yourself if you want to like have a blank slate. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you're dead on with that. I think you're dead on with that, man. And it's always interesting, and I enjoy going back to Hudson. Especially since we've been working from home. I've been able to actually be back in Hudson, quite a bit, really. Actually, kind of more than I would have enjoyed, or more than I would have liked to. But but it's interesting to see what people have become after a few years,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone changes. It's how do you change, which is
Yes.
always the fascinating part to me. It's like some people, they, some people went on a completely, different track than what you would have ever expected.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name names on this, but I ran into some people that I hadn't thought of in years. Literally, it had been years, and I can recognize them.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, and so it's like, damn, it's been that long, but everyone kind of you know They change in their own way.
Yeah. There was a time I had this like view in high school when I just thought that like no one could really change like completely. And I thought like, I mean, I still think that maybe there's like less than 5% of the population who probably could never change, like just personality wise. But it wasn't until college when I saw someone who like I thought was cool, but like they just had a personality where they were just like very mopey and like they were very woe is me. And I was just like there's no hope in this dude, even though I think like he's really cool. But then like 2 years later, like he turned into the exact opposite person, and I was like cautious at first. I was like, this is not, maybe this is just like a front or a mask, but like he ended up like really changing. And so it was one of those things. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I wanted to pose that same question to you that you
Yeah.
posed to me. Like, what was the event that kind of got you
Oh
to?
shit.
Yeah.
Well, I told the story. If you, I don't know if you listened to Patrick's podcast with Patrick Sapanic, but I talked about when I went to I was in the Fort Lauderdale airport shooting, and that was more of like a uh, put a life in perspective, like the fragility of life, or like how like randomly, because it's one of those things. I'll just give you the synopsis: is that um I had no intuition that anything bad was going to go on, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like, why did I have no intuition this shit was about, like something this awful was about to happen, and then it did. So it was more like a, personal strength sort of thing. But the story that I'm talking about is going to answer the question. Basically, is that um sometimes you see someone like the dude who I'm talking about change so drastically, and then you realize that like you have the same exact capacity for change, like in that same way. So there's so many like limiting beliefs from high school where um it took me a while, because I knew like the person who I wanted to be. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew like the person, like the strengths of the person who I wanted to be. But there were so many limiting beliefs that I had from my high school self, and it's really frustrating when you look back and you see like you can label everything, and you're like, this is a part of me that I want to change. This parts of me needs to grow, but it's like it's not an overnight thing, and it's like,
Well, well, dude, if you could go back to high school, I guess I'm going to ask you this question. I've kind of turned into a little bit of a question maker right now.
go for it,
If
dude.
if you could go back, if you could go back to high school, would you? Because it sounds like from what you're saying, you would.
Would I go back to high school? What do you mean? Like, would I change anything, or would I like? What do you mean?
Like if you could just go ahead and put your present self back, would you do
Mm.
it?
It's funny because I would say, from a pure curiosity standpoint, I would want to see how my personal, like current personality would fare, like what relationships I would like foster and stuff like that. But I can't, like, I would say that I don't regret like anything, because like that shaped like so much, like, because if you go through that experience and you just realize how cringy you were, and like, because I was like, I can't even like think about any of these memories without like cringing, like, but I don't know, like the way that I view like this is like more of a spiritual thing. This is basically the extent of my spirituality, is that the way that I cope with these things, like these like really cringy moments from my past, is that I say like, if I were to design this moment for myself, like before I was alive, why did I put this challenge like in front of me? Like, why do I have all these cringy moments where I like, I like fucked up socially, or, did these things? And so from that standpoint, I wouldn't want to put my current personality back in there, but it's really interesting because I would love to see who I would have been without any of those inhibitions. What's your answer on that?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Like, honestly, probably would. Like, if I could cope with my present self, go back to high school, I probably would. Um, it's a catch-22 because you built all those relationships back then, and I feel like those relationships you build, when you're growing up, they are really strong in that, like, you're curious about what those people are up to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like my experience would be completely different if I went now.
Yeah.
versus back then. But also on the flip side, your life is completely different. Like if I went back to high school now, I wouldn't be doing anything that I'm doing now, which
Yeah.
kind of which would kind of suck too. So like, I'd probably go back there just because I feel like you live with some regrets that you want to get out the way, and
Right.
um, it's your opportunity to do that. You know?
Yeah, like especially like that kind of goes back to what you said about seeing Rossi in the Kepners because um there are so many relationships that I look back and I'm like this could have been something so much more if I just like dropped this or if I just forgot about that. But at the same time, like I don't know, dude. It's so when you talked about like seeing people change, and sometimes you don't even recognize people. It's like I wish everyone was that cool in high school. You know what I mean? Because like there were a lot of cool people we went to school with, and I'm like, I wish all of us felt that same way where we could be ourselves in high school. Because like that would have been a blast. But
Dude, there's a lot. There's it's a weird time in your life, man. I mean, what, you're like 15, 16 years old, going through puberty and all that sort of stuff. Everyone's everyone's kind of different sizes. It's kind of a strange time if you think about it.
yeah,
There's a lot of like those types of factors that make people different than what they really are. So
yeah,
um, I feel like now, if you put everyone in the same room, you'd get a hell of a lot different of people than what you do now, in terms of everyone would kind of be, you know, not that people, were kind of like dicks back then, but you would
mm,
kind of have, that difference, or everyone would kind of be the same in terms of everyone would be cool, and it's kind of that type of thing.
yeah. Dude, it scares the shit out of me when you think about how much like a bad high school experience can shape the trajectory of some people's lives, though, too. Because like some people, you know what I mean, like they get labels and then like they fulfill those labels because people put those labels on them, and then that's that. So that part
Dude,
scares me.
some people never like they peak in high school too,
Yeah, the opposite
which
is true. Yep.
so you have those two groups there, but then it's the people in the middle that you're always like, huh, I wonder what that person's up to. And a lot of the
Yeah.
times they're doing really cool stuff that you never expected at all. And I'm like, oh
Yes.
wow, that,
Yes.
that's incredible, man. But yeah,
Yeah. Dude. Now I'm like in my feelings about some of these people now because I'm like, because that is, I don't know, dude. It's like a really cool thing. Like, I know that you told me before this that you weren't spiritual, but like, this is one of those moments when I look back and I'm like, I don't know. Like, it just could very well be like the complexity of life. But I'm like, I don't know. Everyone we went to high school with, I feel like, I don't know, has like the capacity to be, not the capacity, is very like cool, but we just don't live in like, life isn't like carried out in such a way where we could find out about everyone, which kind of sucks. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I am in, and you know what? The great thing is we're never gonna have to find that out, because you can't go back. You can't go back in time. What I will
Yeah,
say is, you get that 10-year reunion that does come up.
dude. Yeah,
You're 28 years old, so you got
yeah,
another few years to look forward to. You can kind of um, dig deep and think about what everyone's doing for 4 more years, and then you can go ahead and put that thought to reality.
yeah. That's true. So, what's your take on someone using that as a motivation? Do you think that's something that's a good sturdy foundation,
Do
or do you think that, huh?
do people really do people really use that as motivation? Like looking forward to their 10-year reunion to
I do know people now who tell me that they're doing something just to see the look on people from high school, and I'm like, all right, dude, that's what's up. I don't say anything because I'm like,
no,
you know,
I
what's up, but
no, I don't do anything to for a 10-year reunion. But hey, if when that time comes, I will be at the 10-year reunion, and it'll
oh hell
be
yeah,
fascinating to see all the lovely faces that I haven't thought of, in a really long time. So
yes,
it'll
dude,
it'll be quite a treat.
yeah. Okay, so what was your motivation to start, or what was your influence to get into entrepreneurship? And even if it was just like you thought it was going to be an easy A, that's valid too.
Betty,
Betty,
really,
yeah,
I got to give a lot of credit to Betty Banksburg.
legend,
Um,
actually.
she like I wasn't the greatest student in high school. I'll openly admit it, man. Like my grades, I could have cared less about, what my GPA was and that sort of stuff. Um, Betty was the one person that really kind of instilled a different like thought process where you could kind of think things abstractly a little bit.
Okay.
And I think entrepreneurship was really that one class because, it kind of taught you like, hey, you got to take something from zero and actually build it up, but you can do it the way you want to. Everything else is like so cut and dry, math, there's a right answer and a wrong answer. With English, it's either correct grammar or incorrect grammar, pronunciations, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Um, Entrepreneurship's the only one where there's like a gray area. And so that kind of, I've kind of lived my life in the gray area in
Hmm.
essence, so that's the one thing that really, got that started. And then in college, I had a professor, Bob Chalfant. He was the most chill dude from Huntington Beach. He somehow was living in Akron, Ohio, Akron, Ohio at the time. I don't know why. He told me that he bought a Mercedes just because everyone around here drives really nice cars and he didn't want to look like an idiot. So he
Okay.
tried to fit in. And so
Okay.
that's the he's the kind of he was also a person I was like, yeah, think of it like this. And I'm like, yeah, why don't I think of it like that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting, dude. It's funny that you say that because she, like, she was definitely the one that's like a teacher that stood out. I mean, of course, it's a business class, so it is different from like the traditional like high school classes. But I totally feel you. Like there was, her expectations were way different than any other teacher too, and so it's like, yeah, and so, but back in like in high school, like I feel like no matter who you were, like I just didn't listen to anybody. Like I listened, but I didn't really like internalize anything. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I didn't listen either, man. It was I don't think anyone did unless there was something that was, so fascinating to you. Like,
Right.
did Napoleon going into France or wherever he went into, was that really like super fascinating to you
Yeah.
at any point? Like come on. I know he's like one of the most famous people ever to live, but I don't know. It didn't really, get my juices flowing to
Right.
get,
I hear
read
that.
about that, to read about that stuff. And I think that's the part that a lot of people are like us, where that stuff doesn't really,
Yeah.
situate well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I mean, I definitely. What am I trying to say here? I really do appreciate all of the Hudson teachers and stuff, but yeah, all the changing, like the true, and this very well could be the nature of high school, but like all the true changing is only happens when you're on your own and you have to piece it together by yourself. You know what I mean? Like what you said, as soon as you went to LA, like that was like the moment where things started like crystallize for you, right?
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. Like, just to put in perspective, Hudson, I know Hudson's a really small town. It's truly a bubble. Like once you go in there, you when you come from an outside perspective and you go into Hudson, when you've been in Hudson already, it's very much like a bubble. You
Mm.
know, you don't really want to leave when you get there, but then once you leave, you're like, oh shit, this is way better. So,
Yeah, it's weird.
so
It's so weird, but yeah, that's exactly it.
and I felt like I was in a bubble because I actually, still have a lease um, in another city. Believe it or not, it's not even LA, and I'm in LA a lot. And so it got to the point where like I didn't want to work at home by myself, and
Hmm.
so I came back to Hudson because my brother was back because he's in law school. He came back for winter break, and so I came back, and I was in December. I stayed December to February 12th when I came out here, and I did the exact same thing every single day. And you see the exact same people every single day. It gets to you, man.
Yeah.
It really gets. I like walking down, Sunset Boulevard and seeing, the random dude with the guitar just playing the music to the people, and
Right.
I like seeing, different aesthetics, with different architecture. And there's a restaurant on Sunset called Taco. It's just like pink building with like plants that look like tacos. Like, like I mean, I like seeing that stuff. You don't get that stuff in Hudson, man. It's
Right.
it's it's different. It's truly that bubble type feel. And people say it's a Hudson bubble. It really is for a reason. I
Yeah.
know you feel that way. Probably, there's a lot of people that feel that way. It's about getting out of it. And I strongly encourage every single person to get out of it.
Yeah.
You get out of it at least for a while. You'll experience, what life really is.
Yeah. Like I know there's a lot of people who went to like Ken or John Carroll or Miami or Akron, but then they also get jobs in Northeast Ohio. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can like, and they're comfortable there, and that's one thing. But like what you're saying is like totally worth it, because if you don't have that like breakthrough experience in college, and you don't get to experience like that change moment, then like what might catalyze that for you is something like what you went through when you like moved across the country. So I feel like everyone owes themselves that chance, if they can be honest with themselves, and like they haven't really changed much. So I think they owe it to themselves to kind of throw themselves into the fire like that.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For
yeah,
sure. You get a lot more out of life when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
yes,
Uncomfortable, like you, like once you accomplish that, man, then like I can do anything. I can pick myself up and go move, to Australia if I want to, or
yeah,
go, you know, Nicaragua, or not Nicaragua, Nicaragua, go live wherever the hell you want to. So
yeah, dude,
do whatever you want to. It changes you as a person.
yeah. Okay, what you're gonna say about that taco place is that in Hudson, I feel like one of the I wouldn't say cultural drawbacks, but one of the things that I felt was that if anyone was really like against the grain, then like it didn't really matter what like how cool their ideas were. Like if anyone was against the grain, like they just got shit on. And then like in real life, that's not really the case. So I like the way that you describe like in LA, that's all this like weird eclectic stuff. But in Hudson, we didn't really grow up with that. Whoops, we didn't grow up with that.
Oh, no, no, we didn't. Um, but also like Hudson, it's very, you know, straight and narrow, and everyone kind of, goes along the same line. But man, people that live there, they love it. My parents still live there; they love it. It's definitely a great place to be. It's different. Like for instance, I'll just talk about food. Food out here is completely different than food in Hudson. Like, no offense to Three Palms or any of those restaurants down there, but but it's not like the type of food you get out here, or you get in New York. Um, it's, it's just like the culture is completely different,
Right.
and that's something that it adds a lot to your life. You go somewhere that's very cultured. You get to experience a lot of stuff, a lot of
Yeah.
different for instance.
Yeah, for sure. So in Akron, were you as inspired for change or like just like to do more?
Hell
Okay.
no,
That's what I thought.
no, no. Dude, no. Dude, literally, I didn't do anything. Like I would go play basketball, go to some of my classes, and then honestly, like my guidance counselor, you could call it academic officer, freshman year, told me you're in danger of going on academic probation. I was like, I was like, holy shit, that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So I had I had to really kick myself into gear. Um, I became really boring after that, man.
Hmm.
Really boring. I didn't do anything. Didn't really spur my creativity. Didn't really do anything.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. So like what was I don't know if you told me and I'm sorry if you did, but like what was the reason that you moved to LA?
Um. So really, I loved it out here. My job has afforded me the luxury to work anywhere I really want to. So I work for the Cash App on Square. Not sure who all uses it, but if you do, thank you. You pay my salary. I very much appreciate it. But yeah, we're able to work wherever we want to, and also the connections you make out here. It spurs. I really view my job as a linchpin to jump off to something else that I really want to do.
Okay.
And you have to build connections to do that. And so that's one of the reasons I moved out here, because the people you meet in Ohio are very different than the people you meet, in a huge metropolitan area. You have, people in entertainment out here. You have people in, finance, people in tech. And so whatever really you want to do, as long as you can sell it, like you can sell packaged biscotti, you can
Hell
you
yeah.
can you can really accomplish, man, whatever you want to. And so that's one of the reasons I moved out here. Also, the beaches are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Malibu's and fantastic. I like to surf on weekends.
Damn.
Um, yeah, so it's a cool place. You can't really find a place like this anywhere else where you can, you know, you do whatever literally you want to. And
Right.
and the school system here is great. Like you have UCLA, USC, Pepperdine. A lot of kids our age you'll
Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
It's a big city with a college type of feel.
That's interesting. I can definitely see that. And I haven't heard anyone describe it like that, but I can see that. Um,
Well,
what? Sorry, keep going.
uh, no, no, no. Well, look, LA is one of those hot button type of cities because people either love it or people hate it. I happen to love it.
Okay.
A lot of people I know happen to hate it. I mean, is it dirty in some parts? Sure. What city isn't dirty in some of them? Is there a huge contingent of homeless people? Absolutely. That's a big problem, obviously. But there's drawbacks everywhere. But this place, it spurs creativity. It
Mm,
really does. You walk down, and anyone that hasn't been to Los Angeles, I would tell you to come visit. You walk down Sunset Boulevard, it'll inspire you because the people you see, you know, driving around, the people you see, you know, living the high life, those people have made it. And that's kind of what you want to do. Like that's to me, that's the whole purpose of why, everything I try to sell myself up for. I just want to make it,
and
make it in whatever I want. Yeah.
so a lot of inspiration that you see just like on your daily walks and stuff, like that's yeah, because you don't see that, you know, normally in
What
Northeast Ohio, the way you see it like that.
what other city in the world do you have Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos living in the same neighborhood, and across the street you have Leonardo DiCaprio, you have Rihanna, and then you go into another neighborhood and then you have a bunch of Wall Street executives with their summer homes out here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Nowhere. Nowhere. You don't get that anywhere. And so that's kind of what, to go back on your original question at the very beginning of what kind of got me interested and spurred that creativity, I guess, changed. You
Mm,
come out here, it changes you as a person. It's either going to make you or break you. In that, if you embrace it, you do whatever you want to. You know.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like trying to summarize what we've said so far, and like a lot of it is like like how much environment shapes you, like even just like climate, but like
Mhm.
environment is such a big influence. And the second thing is that, like your beliefs, because like what you said is that like you can take that stimuli from the environment, and then like depending on how you decode it for yourself, that's like how you change moving forward. So it seems like for you, like you transmuted into something that was really good for yourself. But a lot of people who see LA and like they might get intimidated by it, and then like they're just gonna shit on it and be like, oh, it's not for me. But like I like the way that you took it, because yeah.
Hey man, I'm not a model. I'm not an actor. I'm none of those types of things. And so you got to find your little niche, right? People
Yeah.
think LA is just a place where beautiful people come to hang out. No, no, there's a lot. There's a lot of different people out here. Snapchat's headquarters is right down in Venice.
Okay.
Google's got a campus down in Venice, so it's not just the pretty people that come out here. You got some techies too. So why not? Why not?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your startup then.
Yeah, yeah. So I've got a startup. It's called Avocado, the social investing platform. So easiest way I can put it for you is think if Facebook, Reddit, and YouTube had a baby with Robinhood.
Interesting.
So so basically why I say that is you can Obviously there's a feed you can post, you can listen to podcasts, watch videos, invest in stocks, group chat with friends, follow each other.
Wait, hold up.
Uh,
How does the Robinhood aspect come in? Because that's where that's where I'm
you
like,
can
wait, hold
invest.
up.
You can invest. That's why it's a social investing
So
platform.
like, does
You
it
have
like
to
look like Venmo so people can sort of see
no.
like your okay,
Well, you can see what other people have, invested if you want to.
okay,
If they allow it, it's a privacy issue, right? I
I
don't want to
see.
get sued at the very beginning of at the very beginning of funding rounds and whatnot. But um, yeah, that investing part is interesting because what separates this from like Robinhood and what's already been out there is you're trying to emphasize the social aspect on investing. I
Okay,
mean, that thesis is proven out. You followed GameStop and Reddit and Wall Street Bets and whatnot.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That thesis got proven out, and so
for sure.
people want to talk. People want to be part of stocks. I'm lucky that I got into stocks back in middle school,
Mm,
where I started finding a passion for it. And a lot of people think it takes a lot of money to start. It really doesn't. And so, you're kind of giving everyone an opportunity to participate that hasn't been able to before. But really, to sidetrack a little bit, the baby concept that I just
mm,
told you about, it really is the baby of what the overall goal I'm trying to build here is.
okay,
And yeah, so um, really what I'm trying to build, and why not, is trying to let every single person create a wallet where they can have their investments, Bitcoin, cash, whatever, um, around the world, and they can create their own store on Avocado for free. So my Square background allows me to know how that shit happens, and from there you can basically fund your entire business on your wallet within Avocado itself.
I see.
So the investing part leads to a whole other world where you know is what we're going for.
Okay. So like, how many people do you have like behind it so far?
We've got 11 people working on this.
Okay.
Um, we've got people from, honestly, like I said, the entertainment part's the biggest part. And we got people from Spotify, Apple, um, as our engineers. But really, man, it's being able to connect with the everyday person. So like that new person on Reddit, someone that's in a frat, college frat, or even like a high school. It's being able to connect with those individuals and giving them the liberty to believe that they can do whatever they want to. And if they want to get into investing, there's nothing that's stopping them from doing that.
Right.
Just have to give them the tools to do it and to make them believe that they can. So that's like the overall goal and mission of it.
So what was your take on the whole GME in Wall Street Bets situation then? Like, you think it was like ultimately good or what?
It's fascinating. They're first off, shorting a stock is very dangerous. So hedge funds that short stock and make it public record, I think they're idiots because you can only gain 100% of your investment on a short, but you can lose an infinite amount. So theoretically, it's a stupid investment to make. When you have a stock that's shorted 148% of its float, which is what GameStop was shorted, then you're really playing with fire. Um, I applauded and I appreciate what the community what the community on Reddit did, because they were smart. The initial people were very smart in that, hey, this stock is short at 148%. That's theoretically impossible. It should be theoretically impossible. Let's just go buy the shit out of this company and it's going to go up. Like if we
Yeah.
get enough people to do it, it's going to go up. So the people that got in at the very beginning made a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
On the flip side, and I knew it was going to crash. I didn't know when it was going to crash. I never bought into it. I thought it was fascinating because let's be honest, man, GameStop's model is broke. Like
Yeah.
they're
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 done for.
they're gonna go they're gonna go bankrupt. I mean, you know that, I know that, anyone that follows any type of that stuff knows they're gonna go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Um, I feel for the people that bought in at, at like $350 or $400,
Yeah.
or they're
Yeah.
never gonna see their money again. So
Yo,
it's I just hope that they play a little bit, just for fun. But what I'm doing, on the side note, I actually have a podcast um, that I basically just talk to people on Wall Street, people from CNBC, basically to educate those people on what they should and shouldn't do in terms of how to look at stuff.
okay,
Um, it's all in concept because, like I said, man, there's so many people nowadays that want to invest. It
right,
doesn't matter how much. Like, if you think about it. Let's say there's 10 million people in the world that are 10 million new people that never invested before that want to invest. They each put $10 in. How much money is that? A shit ton of money. If
yeah,
they're throwing it all on, if they're throwing it all on one stock, doesn't matter what stock it is, it's just going to go up. That's why I'm
yeah,
surprised it's never happened. It hasn't happened before. Like,
right, yeah, yeah, it is, yeah. What the hell? Yeah, because Reddit, that's like I feel like that subreddit, like knowing that type of community, like they're wild, and that's interesting. I feel like that is like the very first time that something like that has happened, right? Like,
it is, and it's going to happen more unless companies like Robinhood, go against what they built their whole premise on,
hmm.
which they kind of have an identity crisis at the moment
Yeah, I was gonna
because
say,
they shut down, buying of GameStop for a while. And really what that did, in shorting, it just killed the volume. It killed how many shares you were able to trade. So it couldn't support that kind of a price at that point. Like, in order to drive the price up, you would have had to have, millions of shares bought more than millions of shares sold.
mm,
Who It's mathematically impossible if you can't buy the stock for it to go up.
right, hmm,
And so unless Robinhood continues to do that, if they do that more, you're never going to see that again.
okay,
But they go back to what they used to do, which really what they've done for a long time is allowing people to do whatever the hell they wanted to.
yeah,
See it again. They'll see it again. It would surprise me if you didn't see it by June again. Honestly,
hmm,
like, what else do people do right now? They have nothing else to do right now.
yeah, um, yeah. No, it's weird because I feel like until we took entrepreneurship and business essentials, that I had no idea how like easy it actually is to get into like stock trading. Because before I was like, how the hell would you even start? How much
Were,
money do you need? But yeah, it's
were
like
you in business club?
no.
Were you in business? No. Okay. Betty made us do like some stock simulation thing. And that's that. And, honestly, at heart, I'm like one of the Robin Hooders. I'm like one of the, Wall Street bets type of people. That game, you won like a bunch of extra credit if you would win. So I knew, like, you just buy like Microsoft or something, you're never going to have this thing go up. So me and my friend Adam Nihei, I don't know if you remember him or not.
No.
He's kind of a forgettable character, but he's a he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. He's one of my good friends. But um, we used to like look up the FDA approval like dates because a stock, like a pharmaceutical stock, will soar if their drug gets approved.
Oh,
But if
okay.
it gets denied, it's gonna crash. And this is like a ton of extra credit points. I mean, I didn't really do much in those classes anyways. So I was like, if I get a few extra credit points, why not?
Yeah.
That's literally what people are doing with real money. I was just using fake simulated money. They're basically just, betting on something to maybe do something, maybe not do something.
Yeah.
Um, it's exciting, man. It's exciting. It's exciting to me personally because it proves out the thesis of what I'm building.
Yeah. No, for sure. I can. It's way more fulfilling in your shoes. Like that's cool. Yeah.
It's Definitely is, man. And to go back on that 10-year reunion, it'd be exciting to say, hey, I built something. That's all I want to do in life, man. Just build something. I
Yeah.
don't
You
care what
show
it
up to the
is.
reunion, and everyone has avocado on their phone. That would be pretty hype, right?
Yeah, it'd be that'd be something, man. That really would be something. I don't know
Yeah.
if I've thought that far ahead, but
Yeah. Dude.
but it
Yeah.
would be. It would be.
I think it's cool because stuff like crypto, um, is cool. Like there's so many things like with crypto, like utility, like blockchain. Like I do understand it, but I also don't understand it. Like I feel like I do understand it, but at the end of the day, like if I had to explain it to someone, I'm like hell no. You know what I mean?
Dude, I work with Bitcoin every single day. I can
So
tell you two things about Bitcoin.
yeah, tell me.
Two things. For one, it's manipulated. You have
Okay.
a few people that own the majority of Bitcoin that can control the price of it. So they can control whether it goes up or goes down. That's
Okay.
one. Two, it's just a paradise for people that are trying to do illicit activities.
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say this: one of my good buddies who works at Square with me. He works on compliance at Bitcoin, and his job is to track the movement of sending it from one address to another address to basically see if it lands in the Cash App, how fraudulent, quote unquote, this could be. If Cash App accepts, I'll be honest. I mean, I don't think anyone from Square, other than myself, is really going to listen to this. So I feel like I'm at liberty to say this. Um, we make a killing on the fraudsters. I'll I'll say that. Like we really do. It's like a haven, because people will send money probably through Coinbase or whatnot. Let's say they want to use Bovada to gamble on games, sports games.
Mm.
They'll send their money through Coinbase all the way to Bovada, bet on whatever games. Let's hope they win. They win. Congrats. They withdraw their money. It goes to the Cash App, their ultimate destination. And what do they want to do with that? They want to deposit it into Bitcoin or into stocks. And why? Because if they do that immediately when it gets in the Cash App, it's virtually impossible to see if it's really fraudulent activity or not. You're able to see if they instantly draw it, like money that they got, and you're like, oh, well, I wonder what they were doing with that. But if they
Mm.
do, so so yeah, I would say those two things are big. And then the two negatives of Bitcoin, man, it's expensive. Like literally, it's expensive to move it from one place to another if you wanted to do it efficiently. I've tried sending it through a network on, you know, I'll admit I like to gamble on, games time and time again,
Yeah.
sometimes here. And so I remember Super Bowl Sunday, I wanted to put a bet on the Buccaneers, which I ended up doing. And
Right.
that was great foresight.
Good choice.
That was great foresight by me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's two ways you can do it. You can either send it by regular or you can send it by priority. Priority is like miners are supposed to transfer it within an hour, right?
Okay.
The fee, let's just break down regular numbers, right? Let's just say, and I'm not saying this is how much I put on a game. Let's just say $1,000 on a game, right?
Mm.
The fee now, no joke, would be $200 to transfer that $1,000
Wait,
on
for
a day like
priority?
that for priority.
Oh
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. On a day like that. And so that's a big negative of Bitcoin. And then the speed. Like if I give someone cash, they have the cash immediately. If I send it through Venmo, they have it immediately.
Right.
Um, like who the hell wants to wait 24 hours to accept, part of a thing? So like,
Right.
I don't think really you're missing too much out on Bitcoin. But then again, if you all want to purchase Bitcoin, do it on the Cash App because you'll fulfill my salary and it'll be great. So
Right. Okay, so what about the whole like do you know if quantum computing or whatever the whole shit is where that's going to improve the speeds of Bitcoin, or is that going to be like a pretty like flat like rate of transfer?
man, I'll be honest with you. I feel like I'm a pretty smart guy, and I feel like I know, quite a bit. That's above my head.
Okay,
I have
same.
not. I have not. I haven't dived into quantum computing. It really hasn't been on my bucket list to go over recently. So when I get around to it, I'm sure I'll inform the listeners of all the benefits of that.
Hell
The
yeah.
great.
Okay, actually, I just thought of this question. What thing about either like yourself, because like starting like a tech startup is not something that your average Joe will end up doing in their life. So I want to know, is there anything that you think was unique to that experience, like this experience that you're
Dude,
getting out of it?
dude, recruiting people.
Recruiting.
I'm telling you, the hardest thing and why most startups fail. I'm not saying mine's going to succeed. by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying I'm giving myself a better shot of it succeeding rather than it failing in that as a typical one. Because you can't attract people that believe in the mission, believe in the vision that you're setting out, but then also they're so freaking good at their job and they know how to do stuff, and you are able to basically, give them free will of doing whatever the hell they want to.
Right.
It's hard to find those people. And so for myself, like the first person that I ever convinced, his name is Malachi. Yeah, he's a programmer. He's done projects at Apple. He's done projects at Microsoft. He helped build out a lot of software you see on your iPhone. And so, or you use with the iPhone. And so I met him and I had to do a hard sell on him to jump on, I would say for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like literally think about, and I'll bring an LA analogy here. Think about think about you're walking on Sunset, which I do have a reservation tonight at 9:30 at the lovely Laurel Hardware down in West
Damn.
Hollywood. but anyways, you're walking on Sunset and you see Kendall Jenner walk by. You got to convince her to go out on a date with you.
Word.
That is the equivalent of how freaking hard it was to get Malachi to join. It's one thing to have a vision. It's another thing to actually execute on that vision, actually build it. Like anyone could come up with a great idea, right? Anyone can do that. Actually building it and getting the right people, and acknowledging I'm not smart enough to actually build this. I need to get people that can actually do it. And so once he said yes, I was able to attract some people in finance to come on board. They have like a Wall Street background, but we're gonna kind of leave that out here because the Reddit community hates Wall Street. So it's not like that. But we were able to get them, and then I was able to convince some people from Square to jump on. So like the head of our brokerage at Square, he's come on. I'm not sure, that could be a fireable offense one day down the road, but you never know if you're poaching talent from your own company. And then Chris, who he works at Spotify, working on the UI of Spotify. And so he was that last piece to the puzzle. And so recruiting, being able to talk to people is the hardest part. You have to be able to convince, and it's kind of like the same thing about building, a podcast. And I think you can, relate to it. Once you get that first person to do it, you can convince, X, Y, and Z to come on and say, hey, this person did it. You should come do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I want to talk about that. I mean, were you done? Because I feel like
recruiting, man. That's the hardest part, and I encourage anyone. And I think everyone should try to build something one day. Why not? What else? What do you have to lose? You have absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean you have to build a tech company. It doesn't mean you have to build a tech company. You can go build a treehouse. Go build a podcast. Do whatever the hell you want to do. Just I think the gratifying thing, regardless of how it ends up turning. And we're gonna have a shot because we're about to get a Series A funding round here. Another reason why I'm out in LA again. But I encourage everyone to try to do that. It's what it fulfills you the most, man.
I totally agree. So after you got Malachi is his name?
Yeah.
So after him, how rapid did your confidence grow after you got more and more people recruited? Confidence in terms of recruiting more people, I should say, or approaching people.
Oh, super easy. It was once I got him on board, it was easy to sell everyone else. I'll say this, we've gone through 4 versions. So the version that everyone's going to see, and we're going to launch this thing, it's going to be like a slow rollout because you want to make sure that when you get a bunch of people on, it doesn't crash. But we've gone through 4 versions, and in that 4 versions, we've accumulated 11 people. So, you do the math. It was myself and him, and then we started adding more and more people on board. It's definitely, easier to recruit people.
Yeah.
Once you have a couple people, dude, if it was just myself and I asked you, hey, you want to come build this with me? You're like, what the hell? No one else is doing on this. Why the hell would I want to do
Right.
that?
Right.
do this, right? It's like that in everything. So,
That's
you
exciting,
gotta,
dude. Like,
you know,
yeah, that's a cool story. Like, because that seems really daunting to try to like recruit people like that. But like you pulled it off, and that's
the crazy thing is, man, we all live in different cities. No one lives in the same city as
oh
each other.
wow,
We're, we're all on different coasts. Arizona, you've got Missouri, you've got California, Chicago, you've got New York. Um, yeah, I think that covers it. You got Ohio, you've got people all over.
that's
And
insane.
so none of it, what's even more insane is none of us, we've never met as a group together. Not once.
Okay.
And we're about to do a funding round potentially the same size as Public just did, which you guys can look that up on your own time if you're really that fascinated on it. But it's crazy to think that you know strangers become friends and then just build build something so random. Like we didn't even have like if you sit on one of our meetings and I have the honor of running these meetings, which I probably have no business running because my personality is just like, yeah, do whatever the hell you want to. Um, it's it's interesting. We have no flow. We have no like purpose or trajectory. We kind of just say, this would be cool to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we do it? Let's do it.
Yeah.
I can see the vision of that. I think that's what a lot of companies nowadays miss. I think that's why I look up to Elon Musk. I think that's why that dude is the goat.
Mm.
Next to Steve Jobs, Elon just says, hey, let's build this. Why not? What do
Yeah.
I have to lose? I'm going to build a freaking Cybertruck. It looks just like it come out. It just looks just like it came out of Batman.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
Dude,
Oh wait, that
those
car is probably the nicest car I've ever seen in my life.
what is?
Cybertruck.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I mean it's like the whole like unconventional authentic leaders like they are like I don't know, like the frontier. That's why like whenever, you know what I mean? Like I I like when you're telling the story because what it's always a reminder, it's a very welcome reminder for me to just to recognize like how like change is completely up to you. So like just to make it full circle about going back to like high school and like going to college, like what for someone like me to be in your position when you had a first recruit Malachi, I would have been like, this is like an insurmountable sort of thing. Like I have to recruit like all of these people. I have to like get all of this funding. I have to like go from here to there. But like it really is like one step at a time. Like you had to be very
Dude,
present. Huh.
you can't and people over exaggerate how hard certain stuff is. You can simplify the process. Like I haven't spent a dollar on this venture so far.
Really?
I haven't spent $1. Yeah, you can build something with buy-in. I mean, if you're counting equity as a dollar, sure, I've spent money that way. But in my mind, you want to build something with people that believe in it. If you pay someone off, like if I go pay someone off, I don't know, like $1,000 or like $100 to do something, um, how committed really are they? Are they
Right.
just doing the bare minimum to get that done? No, they don't believe in it. They're gonna be on their phone talking to their next person. So I think for what you're doing is awesome because you're bootstrapping this project and you're gonna parlay this project into another project probably, and that's the way everything's done. And so I think people really like I said earlier, it's not hard. Like it's just using your resources at your disposal,
Yeah.
figuring it out, and that's the most fun thing to do. The most fun thing to do is just figuring it out. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, dude, I feel like every single video I made, like in every single podcast episode is like, I had to admit to myself, like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to keep doing it consistently and see like how things evolve. And like the most exciting thing about exactly what you just said is like, you can start whatever using the resources around you. It's like the original Iron Man movie when he made Iron Man in the cave. I don't know if you've seen the original Iron Man movie, dude. It's exactly like that. Cause like, that's when your personality and like your creativity shows, when you have a limited amount of resources and you don't have the best equipment and like you don't have like the best, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Anything I want to, man, like you said, and you don't have to have all the fancy stuff. The fancy stuff's overrated. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to have a bunch of people that you can get along with. And what's even crazier, is I've kind of done life backwards completely. Um, and so I actually do have, another topic that, like I told you before we came on here, I'm an open book tonight. I'm an open book. You never get me as an open book completely all the time. I'm an open book tonight. And so, I've prioritized certain things over other things, and it'll shock you. Like, one of the facts about me is, well, first, guess what I'm about to say. Guess what I'm about to say, and it could be, you don't know, where this is going. I think this is going to be compelling to listen to, but guess what I'm going to say.
Dude, I don't know. It's like you just open up. It seems like so infinite. I don't know. Shit. It's gonna be is it a hobby? You talking about a hobby?
Let's go along relationship wise.
Relationship wise. Shit.
Yes, I'll give you one guess. That's it.
Relationship wise. And you were born again when it comes to relationships. Are you dating someone? Like, I don't know.
I'll say this: I've gone out with, quite a few girls. I've never had a girlfriend.
Okay.
Never. Not one. It shocks a lot of people, but kind of shocks me too a little bit. But at the same time, I've got a weird thing where it's like I put everything on like a fun meter.
Okay.
What's more fun for me? What could I be using my time for? And so I don't know. I just felt like, that's something that, you could see my face. The audience obviously can't see my face right now. When I talk about, building a company, I get a nice big smile on it. And I'm like, hey, it's a fun thing. Every girl, man, I've gone out with so far. I shouldn't say every girl. So I've gotten dumped a few times.
Damn.
But
happens the best.
I gotta be honest, man. Gotta be honest. We're going back here to,
yeah,
the days before I started to, go on my little up trajectory. I haven't really reached an up trajectory yet, but we're getting there. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we haven't reached it already. If we've reached the peak already, then we're in trouble. But but I would say almost every girl I've gone out with, man, I've not felt that same, sort of excitement that I have when I talk about building this type of thing. And so I put life completely backwards. And I think part of it's because I didn't date in high school. If I had dated in high school, maybe. But it's always like at the back of your head, like you try to benchmark yourself against another person a little bit.
And relationships are definitely one of those things that, yeah, keep going.
No, I let you interject, my friend. I mean, this is your
no.
podcast.
I just wanted to say that like relationships is one of those metrics that like is really hard to not like benchmark yourself with. Like it kind of sucks, but like that's the way it goes. That's all I wanted to say.
It does kind of suck, but at the same time, you it's all up to you. Like at the end of the day, I'm 25 years old now. I'm in a different headspace than I was when I was 18. So I mean, I could have cared less back then. And so now you start thinking, like, I turned 25 today. You start thinking like, damn, I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20. My good years are about to end, And so
wait, is today really your birthday?
Today is February 17th. I was born in 1996. So it's one of those, days that people love to celebrate, but I don't, because it's like, damn, I'm 1 year closer to kicking the can, you know?
Wow. Word. All right. Okay, so wait, hold up. Are you using like Tinder and stuff in LA, or is it just like you waltzing up
Never, man.
and okay.
No, I'm not going on any dating apps. No. I'll admit I've done it before. Um, it's never ended well. I'll say it.
Yeah, I mean
I'll
I
say
can
that.
attest to that.
We'll 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 leave it at that, man. I feel too awkward on those types of things. It's like putting my personality in a little box.
Yeah, dude.
And as you can tell, like, I kinda like to let the conversation free flow into whatever the hell it's gonna free flow into.
Right.
And so
It's yeah.
can't do that on a dating app. Like, you'll send someone a text, or they'll send you one, and you'll be like, oh, they'll be like, if you're on Bumble, say like, hey, with like a smiley face or something. I'm like, what am I
Yeah,
supposed
like
to say
here we
this?
go
Hey,
again.
what should I say? Like, hey, how's your night going? Like,
Right.
what do you want me to say? And so I would definitely, you know, it's easier. And I think the one podcast of yours I did listen to, you had Taylor on.
Yeah.
I listened to part of it. Great to listen to in the car, by the way, when you're, driving to the grocery store or whatnot.
Hell
Pop
yeah,
a
thank
little,
you.
have that on for like good solid like 7 minute stretch.
Hey.
You'll get some great legends. But no, I it's it's hard, putting very superficial. And I understand, like, the city I'm in right now, Los Angeles, probably is like the most superficial city in the world.
Right.
But at the same time, not the type of vibe I'm going for. And I
Yeah,
think
like
that's all you.
that's like a whole different like in how do you like do you feel like that superficiality in those like people you date? Like is there like residual like um superficiality like in their personality that you wouldn't see in a place like Hudson?
Um,
If that makes
Honestly,
any
man, I
sense.
think, oh, it does. I think Hudson and Los Angeles are very similar in
In that
that.
regard.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I I'll be honest. Like, there are a few girls in Hudson that I find very attractive. I'm not gonna name names on that one. It's very similar in terms of, Hudson and LA. Um, Superficiality. I feel like when you come from an area that's so rich, let's be honest, like Hudson in Ohio is, the equivalent of Beverly Hills out here in LA. I'll just be honest, like,
Yeah, it's up
it's
there.
literally, I mean, Beverly Hills, the average house is probably like $11 million. In Hudson, it's the average house is like 400,000. So it's like, or 300,000. So it's like comparing apples and oranges, but you can
Right.
draw a parallel between the two. If you come from a place of money, man, I feel like that's something that you want to be like comfortable. And at the end of the day, that's always been like the biggest concern of mine. And that's kind of why, like, I always back off, because I'm not like loaded, but at the same
Yeah.
time, at the same time, like, you don't want to give up, like, you don't want to make a mistake and then give up like half your assets.
Yeah,
And
dude,
then,
that's actually a huge concern.
so I think that's also been a drawback of mine. It's like, I always look for the negatives, don't really see the positives. Should probably flip it and see what the results are afterwards. But
Yeah, I don't
and by the way, I see your face starting to light up. So I can tell you're really enjoying this topic right now, which is making my heart feel really good.
Well, I mean, I like talking about these things because, first of all, I mean, a lot of dudes don't bother talking about it, and I don't know, like this is one of those things like dating for dudes, especially you talking about like you're broke. Like I feel the same way. It's like I feel like I shouldn't be dating because I'm broke. I mean, I'm not broke, but you know what I mean. It's like I feel like I'm not. I don't have like, you know, gobs of money that I could be blowing, and like I feel like that's a hindrance for me to like date. And like in actuality, it's not really. And then the whole thing about like, you know, divorce, like dudes like Kobe, like all their money, you know, half of their money, dude, like that's a lot. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things to take in consideration. Dating apps suck. They're very formulaic. And like the thing that Taylor said, like, I don't know if Taylor said this specifically, but we talked about it, is that um, there's like a lot of aspects of dating apps that like the effort that's put in isn't genuine. And you can't even see, like, for me, like if you and I were to have a text conversation, we would get like 1% of what we're actually like talking in person, right?
Dude, 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 and I'm one of the culprits of it being, very formulaic. I apologize because I'm one of those people that really I don't invest too much time when someone sends me a message. Now, if something's really cool in their bio and they talk about that, sure, I'll talk about that stuff. And then, if they're, obviously attractive, yeah, sure, to me, like I'll try. But I feel like it's much more easy to get a vibe on someone when you actually meet them
Yes.
rather than through a phone. I mean, formulas and that sort of stuff that ties into social media. So I'll admit that, with Avocado, I do believe in the formulas
Damn.
and stuff, but in real life, I do not. So
Yeah. Yeah.
dating is very different. It's very different.
So, do you have that mindset about looking at the negatives over the positives and other things? Because it seems like the person who you are and like the things that you're doing, you don't have that in other things.
No, I just go for it.
So why don't
What's
you
the
have
worst that can
that?
happen?
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Shit.
Uh, it's there's certain negatives. What's the worst that can happen is I can lose investor money, but they invested in it, so they lose their own money. It's not like I lose money. I lose my position and maybe some esteem out in Silicon Valley or whatever.
Right.
Um, if if I lose in divorce court, I lose 50% of what I built up. So
Yeah.
there's a very big difference there, my friend. Very big difference. I will say that. So you have to kind of wait. But no, I mean, there's a ton of great girls out there. I'm just kind of joking around a little bit in terms of that. Um, it's I think 25 is the year where I commit more.
All right.
I've been told I'm very committal, so it's probably an accurate statement. But
Wait, you lied out. You told you're not committal.
told I'm a non-committal person,
I see.
which so it's funny. Square, the company I work for, they are forcing you now. It's a requirement. They signed a deal with a mental health company. It's called Lyra. Never thought about going to see a therapist, but you have to now.
That's
16
honestly pretty
sessions a year.
sick. 16 a year?
16 online sessions a year. When the virus ends, pandemic ends, it can be in person. My therapist, her name's Holly Hawk. Shout out to her. Um, she she was like trying to dissect my life, and I told her that one of the things that bothered me was that people tell me I'm non-committal. Like in a relationship, I'm not committal. I'm like, where the hell are they getting this from? Like, what? And so it's something that I've, definitely seen an emphasis to work on.
Okay.
Therapist says I should, then I really should. So, um,
Did she suggest any ways that you can do that, or is she just like go figure it out?
um, no, she didn't really suggest too many ways. She's like, write down in a notebook everything that you think when you're gonna make a decision like that.
Hmm.
I haven't really stuck to that plan too much because at the end of the day, like, I'm not gonna write down on pen and paper every single thing that goes through, my head. Um, but yeah, I think 25 is the year we got to get over this non-committal thing.
All right, shit, I'm
Otherwise,
with.
yeah, I'm gonna have my AARP card. I'm gonna have gray hair. I just went and got a haircut today. Shout out to my barber. Um, but yeah, it was it's something that I'm very cognizant of, and it's something that I think I haven't really focused on, as I told you, but we're going to. Definitely
So
going to. This
I've
this podcast has really gone off the rails. I don't think you had any of these types of questions on, so I sincerely apologize
no,
if
these are the best
we're
types. Please trust me, these are the best types when they derail like this. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a very deep psychology question. Do you think that you were dating people before that like you unconsciously fucked up the relationship because of your whole I mean, maybe this is like a redundant question, but like do you think those people that you met in the past were actually incompatible with you, or do you think things didn't work out actually because that you were not a committing person? If that makes sense.
ooh. I'll be honest, it's probably a 50-50 split.
Hmm.
It's probably a 50-50 split. It depends on the individual. I've definitely gone out with some people that I wasn't really attracted to. I think
Okay.
kind of contributed to the non-committal part. And it's not just like physically, you have to like build up, like be able to talk to an individual.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
how we're talking right now, but it has to be a lady on the other end. It can't be yeah, it can't be you.
Exactly.
But it's gotta kind of be like that. The the other part is there has definitely been times where the individual's attractive and I kind of hit it off with the person, quote unquote, hit it off. Hitting
Yeah.
it off for me is different probably than hitting it off for you or hitting it off for someone else.
Yeah.
Um, so I go out with them, and then I'd be like, it'd be a few days before I send a text message, mostly because like I completely forget half the time to like text people. They'll text me, and I'll see the message, I'll read the message, and then something else I have to do comes up, and I have to go do it. And I never end up actually getting back to that, and then it goes a few days without me ever responding, and then it goes out the window. And so I'll definitely say there's part that's attributed to statistical error. We've got a margin for error. That is part of it. And then and then the other part, man, is I just have focused so much on, doing other things in my life that has driven me away from participating in that. Also, like, what other people would think. I think that played a large part in my life too.
Like
Like
in the
that
person that you
okay.
chose.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah, yeah.
will my friends like her? Will they think like what will they think if they see her? What my parents think? Like what like I don't want all that hassle. Now I'm 25. I'm a man now at this point, so I don't really care.
Yeah, it's like I answer to nobody. Yeah.
Don't really care too much. But
No, I mean,
yeah,
I
those
have a lot, dude. Because the thing that, I mean, this is like the whole thing where it's like, I understand either the divine timing aspect, or I understand just how much psychology actually influences every single thing you do. Like, until I hit my goal weight, like, I had the same sort of thing where, like, I was so certain that my weight like defined like when I should be dating, that like I know for a fact that I put myself in certain situations where I would like ruin a relationship, not ruin a relationship, but you know what I mean, like I would like derail it from where it was going. um
by the way, for the listeners out there,
hmm,
Christian,
what?
you can tell you should be out in LA. This dude should be running the red carpet right now, man. He's gotten himself into tip top shape. You
Thank you,
can't walk
dog.
down Sunset and you see 10 people that are more physically fit than this guy in a stretch of 15 people. You cannot tell me that.
This guy, dang, I appreciate it, dude. Well, shit. So yeah, exactly. So once I hit the fucking Sunset Boulevard level, I was like, all right, now I should start dating. Within a week of hitting that like mindset, I started dating some chick. She was my ex, and like I do respect her, so she's not just some chick, but like I started dating someone. And it's weird because like I went 4 years and I was like, oh, woe is me, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like not working out. But like I knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's because I don't think that. And then like within a week, literally me saying, okay, like this is my goal weight. I'm gonna stay here. I met someone off Tinder and like we dated for a bit. Um, but like that's like I think that's so cool that Square is doing that for you, because like, dude, like, I don't know. Like, I know you said you didn't need it, but like you hearing that, it seems like it's like actually inciting something like cool.
I think so. I think everyone could use mental therapy. Um, I could use it in certain instances. Everyone can use it. It's more so like I don't want to talk about my feelings with someone I don't know. Like, what's the point of that? Like,
Yeah.
like it's also taking out significant time from my day to do that. Where I could be, instead of writing down in a journal, I could, I don't know, maybe meet someone, maybe not have commitment issues.
Word. Yeah, exactly. Dude, I'll tell you the thing that Katie said, like Katie Marquez, her podcasts are great too, but
By the way,
she's
by the way, by the way, Katie Marquez, I hear that you don't remember me. That's okay. I take no offense to that. I will have Christian send me a picture, and I will familiarize myself with you,
done.
and we can go from there.
Done. You gotta
Done.
watch the podcast though for my downloads. I need those metrics to get up. But her podcast though is like they are really good. And she said when we're talking about therapy, she said at the very least you get to talk about yourself. So she's like if you want to talk about it in like a narcissistic way, you can just talk about yourself and like see it as in that light. And that doesn't work out for me, but I know that there are definitely a lot of people who help me like, yeah, if you look at it like that, you can probably slip yourself in there. But then again, if you're not used to doing something like that and if you're just not comfortable, then I think at the very least it can like put things in perspective in the way that's like, okay, well, I'm doing this for an hour. Maybe I can use my time. It's like a reminder. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's not a reminder. It's like a something to recalibrate.
You are telling yourself that, hey, nothing you can do, but I think having that reminder can really serve people a purpose. Hell, I need a reminder half the time. Like, it's 8:34 Pacific time right now. If I didn't look at my phone just now, because I've really been enjoying this banter back and forth. It's actually very therapeutic for me in some instances.
Same, bro. Same.
I would not remember that. 50 can't do math. 55 minutes. I have to go eat dinner. 9:30 dinner is very late dinner, by the way.
It
Only
is.
time they really had available. The only time my buddies could actually get off of whatever the hell they're doing tonight. So it's yeah. I just lost my train of thought when I was saying that, but you can always have reminders. You can always have reminders. Those are always good.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like for that opportunity, like, are you going into it with like a dragging your feet sort of thing, or are you saying like I'm actually gonna like try to make the best of this when you're in it, not like outside of like I'm gonna do journaling and stuff, but like when you're there, like are you really like I'm gonna try to actually say like about stuff about shit that's bothering me?
Um, I try to be open. I've tried to be open and vulnerable and honest with the public tonight. I uh I I feel like I do that, with everyone. I try to be open and honest with you know, not just you, but with my therapist, and then also with the person I'm going out with. I
Mm.
uh I just let them know, like, I'm never trying to lead someone on. So if I'm not interested, I let them know that, and if it's vice versa, I just ask for the same thing, back in return. I think that also contributes to it because you're also setting like an expectation. Um, yeah, man, it's a crazy world out there. Crazy world. You never know what's gonna happen. It's 2021. 2020 is behind us. I had a lot of baggage back then. Let's hope we start off with a clean slate. That's
Yes,
all we can
sir.
hope and pray for.
Yes, sir. All right, dude. Well, since you got dinner in almost 50 minutes, I think we should wrap this up, dude. I had an absolute blast, and I think we should do this again. Um, so if there's anything besides avocado that you want to plug before we dip, feel free to do so. Otherwise,
Um, well, well, you guys can all, if you want to, take a listen. It's called the Business Essential Podcast. You can find it on Spotify. We're partnering here with the Only Human Podcast. At least I'm saying I'm partnering with the Only Human Podcast. We're working with American Express and CNBC, hoping just to bring you all some knowledge on if you want to not face the fate of the $400 purchasers of GameStop, then you might want to tune in. You never know. Might learn something. Might not learn something. It's not my job to tell you if you learned something or not. So
Hell yeah. All right. Well, shit. If you made it this far, thank you. That's it. Peace.